Dzień dobry, hello. Oh my God, jesteśmy tutaj razem. We are together here in Concordia Design. I'm very happy you are with us. I know outside is kind of hell. I hope here, maybe not paradise, but we try, spend time, relax, and try, to see how tensions between online and offline works. Today, I found a lot of tension about that, It's like technology connected to the internet is still, I think, big challenge. During, this pandemic, COVID time, when we spend hours on Zoom, Google Meet, and so on, I think all of us touch it. But I think today we try to look into the future. So maybe, this kind of connection don't be necessary. Maybe, these chips in our heads start working and everything, be much easier. We'll see. And we invite some experts, friends, filmmakers, curators, activists to talk with us about future. All these things are connected, of course, to main topic of Shortwaves Festival, which is fixing the future. So we see. I hope what we find on the end be more something utopian than dystopian. So, but we need to try, and I really want to say some words for my friend who once, it was probably 1991, so very nice, I think, year. Really past. And he told me, we not here to make art. We are here to looking for new ways of making art. So really relax, we see what happens. And we start with special guest, our friend Wojciech Ullman, who is here. Please, little applause for Wojtek. He's curator, programmer of Polish experimental films competition into the shortwaves, as well. He's a filmmaker, artist, photographer, and he's doing, kind of very interesting project called Contact, and we try to touch this special edition of that. Please.
3, 2, 1. Contact.
To jest Kontakt. Wydanie specjalne związane z wydarzeniem Hotel Europa w ramach Shortwaves Festival w Poznaniu. Chciałbym powiedzieć kilka słów, które spisałem sobie przed chwilą na kartce odnośnie naszej najbliższej przyszłości, w której to online przenika offline. Czy jednak ja, jakiego widzisz teraz na ekranie, to rzeczywiście ja, czy tylko stworzony przeze mnie awatar? Zwiedzam alternatywne wymiary. Prowokuję sytuacje. Zmieniam miejsca w czasie. Wymyślam siebie na nowo. Podaję półprawdziwe fakty. Przyszłość to informacyjny chaos. To transformacja historii, projektowanie zdarzeń. To policja myśli, która przeszukuje głowę. To inwigilacja i nieustająca kontrola. Wirusy z sieci przenikające do sfery intymnej. Miniaturyzacja kamer i mikrofonów. Narzędzia szpiegowskie. Udostępniane również bezpłatnie. Prywatne życie emitowane na żywo. W co jednak wierzyć, jeśli wszystko może być zmyślone? Te słowa, ta twarz, to ciało może być nie moje. Czy wszystko to się naprawdę staje? Przewidywanie przyszłości na zaraz. Kolejne warstwy. Przyszłość to również chmury informacji sunące pomiędzy serwerami. Szybkie, totalne rozchodzenie się danych. Wirtualne biblioteki tekstów, dźwięków i obrazów. Umysły połączone linkami. Skoncentrowanie wielu myśli w jednej idei, wizji, wspólnej świadomości. Współistnienie. To rzeczywiście ja, czy tylko stworzony przeze mnie awatar. Zwiedzam alternatywne wymiary. Prowokuję sytuacje. Zmieniam miejsca w czasie. Wymyślam siebie na nowo. Podaję półprawdziwe fakty. Przyszłość to informacyjny chaos. To transformacja historii, projektowanie zdarzeń. To policja myśli, która przeszukuje głowę. To inwigilacja i nieustająca kontrola. Wirusy z sieci przenikające do sfery intymnej. Miniaturyzacja kamer i mikrofonów. Narzędzia szpiegowskie. Udostępniane również bezpłatnie. Prywatne życie emitowane na żywo. W co jednak wierzyć, jeśli wszystko może być zmyślone? Te słowa, ta twarz, to ciało może być nie moje. Czy wszystko to się naprawdę staje? Przewidywanie przyszłości na zaraz. Kolejne warstwy. Przyszłość to również chmury informacji sunące pomiędzy serwerami. Szybkie, totalne rozchodzenie się danych. Wirtualne biblioteki tekstów, dźwięków i obrazów. Umysły połączone linkami. Skoncentrowanie wielu myśli w jednej idei, wizji, wspólnej świadomości, współistnienia.
Ściągnąłem z wrażenia maskę, bo to naprawdę jest dosyć... Tutaj mamy walkę z tym offline'em i online'em. We try, you know, now back to the online and back to the offline. Guys, if you hear me, you know, on the online, sorry, but we here have a little delay, so we need to now try to find a way to be together. So the next film of Agnieszka is ready, or we need a little time to do it, or we go to our guest in on online chats, guys. Online. Mars, and she's, you know, into artistic project connected to that, and so she's not. She can be with us now, but we try to send her film. Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I need to mic. To była taka wyciszająca, poetycka wypowiedź Agnieszki, myślę wyjątkowo specyficzna i ciekawa. A teraz kolejne poważne wyzwanie, czyli łączymy się online, zobaczymy co z tego wyniknie. Tutaj do uśmiechniętej Agnieszki, która jest w Berlinie, Agnieszka Bułacik oraz Omar, który jest
Yes, yes, Igor. Hello, everyone. Sorry, I got a bit of delay. I mixed up between the YouTube and here. So I'll just go. Shall I go quickly with the introduction? With the hello, Igor.
Hi, Omar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Igor. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So I just want to say thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very happy to be part of this event. I was following also on the link on YouTube, and like where you are looks really wonderful. It's very nice. Just a brief introduction. My name is Omar Rajeh. I I have my company based in Beirut since 2002, but recently we moved to Lyon last year in France. I'm a choreographer and dancer, but I'm also a co-artistic director of a dance festival in Beirut since 15 years, and also of a cultural center called Citen Beirut since 2017. Unfortunately, Citen Beirut was forced to be dismantled in 2019 after the governor of the city refused to extend our permit. And what I would like to just to go immediately into the topic of also this with the COVID-19, with the cultural cancellations, we come also with a story of Citen Beirut that was not able to continue or to was forced to be dismantled, and we immediately thought to go into responding, let's say, to this current situation with what we always have been doing in Beirut. I don't know if some of you or all of you've heard about the sad incident, the big explosion that happened in Beirut on the 4th of August, which destroyed a huge part of the city. Many people were killed. There's more than 6,000 people injured and 300,000 displaced. So on top of this, like the problems of the, let's say, of the pandemics of COVID-19, there is also, again, these pandemics, and with the unrest happening in the world, there is a big question for us, I think, where is culture? And what is the role of culture? How do we, what does it mean to be a choreographer today, a filmmaker? What does it mean to organize a festival or curate a cultural program or an artistic program in a theater? And I believe this question becomes more and more urgent today. It becomes more and more urgent to reconsider our this cultural system that we inherited, if I may say, and we're using and we're working with. Probably it seems that this cultural system, this cultural policy, these cultural dynamics that we're working with needs to be reimagined, needs to be renewed, needs to be rethought based on this everyday life that we live, based on all of the incidents, all this happenings that are taking place in our world. And the question is, where is culture? How would culture be involved, engaged on a social level, political level, but most of all artistically, how these artistic creations could respond to such incidents. So more or less, this is the space of our work we're working. We're planning to launch a digital online performance space after the dismantling of Citen Beirut 2019. We want to go really online with this idea of the cultural space and to question all of these issues of does it mean a performance space? Where is culture today? What is the engagement of culture? How can we create spaces with artistic works and artistic creations that are directly involved in our questions, in our statements, processes that we do. So what we call this new platform citern.live, and it's with several partners also in France, in Europe, but also in Beirut, in Ramallah, Alexandria, in Barcelona, and it's open for programmers, artists, collaborators to program and present their online digital work on this platform. The idea is also, with this platform, our hope and aim is to create a kind of cultural framework for the artistic presentations or festival or performances, to give it a kind of like specific or a certain value that goes with this cultural value, maybe a bit different than using the social media, because also the social media has its own let's say values. The social media has its own dynamics, and for us it's extremely important to give this artistic or cultural frame for the works that could be presented online, to give also a different approach for this digital work, to give it like this a specific context about it. At the same time, to protect the artist, to protect their work, to protect the value of the work itself, and how it interacts with the viewers or audience. An important idea about this project is that we would like also to reconsider, as I said, these cultural policies or cultural dynamics we normally exist within, and probably we need to start thinking globally. We start to think transnational. We need to think with viewers that are with no nationality, no color, no gender. They are behind the screen, and the only connection is really the artistic work, the cultural concept, the cultural ideas, and this is probably where the discussions, the dialogues need to take place and happen.
Thank you, Roma.
Thanks, Ygor. Thank you.
Thank you, Roma. Super good to hear you, and thank you for being with us today. And now I want to go to Agnieszka Bolaciki. Please stay with us, Roma, because later the audience online and offline can make us questions. And also I want to ask about Agnieszka. She's one of the founders of Hate Awareness in Berlin, and a group called New Visions. And yes, she knows better how to present herself, but she is working a lot with the cultural scene and people gathering together. Agnieszka, can you turn your microphone on as well?
Homework sucks.
Agnieszka, now you get us.
I hate homework.
To me.
Yeah, because she... Internet was here.
There's nothing you can do because we loaded.
We don't. She's got internet problem, I think.
Okay.
You can turn...
Something I think with Agnieszka, you see like there, it's like offline, under the wall. And yeah, it looks online, but like here we're still on, but here not. I don't know what's going on, but it's like, yeah, what we touch, in this space, like generate problems. I'm thinking like now we can try to do a kind of little ritual, to change energy, and maybe we back, to like easier way to contact with our online things, and Agnieszka come back. So Ygor, please do the thing, man. It's your turn.
Yeah,
let's take out the tension. The problem of the online and talk is that we always stay seated talking. So with me...
Hello?
Yeah, Agnieszka. Good. Are you here?
Can you hear me? So I don't hear anything yet.
Now you can hear us, right?
Sit here. Sit here.
I do hear you. Do you hear me?
Yes, we are all hearing you now. Thank you.
That's great. So as a background story, my phone said that my iPhone is too hot because it's really hot. It's like 35 degrees now. So there's a possibility that it will cut off again. Hopefully not. I'll try to make it possible so it doesn't cut off again. Okay, so can I start?
Yes, we are there.
Internet first.
Great, amazing. I don't see you, but great to feel your presence. As I see, there is still a lot of work in front of us to make the offline and online really working smoothly together. But let's go through that with grace. So, my name is Agnieszka Błacik, and I am a part of collective called Rave Awareness. And I had a privilege and a chance to already work with Hotel Europa, which was wonderful and beautiful. And I'm also very grateful to be here today. As Rave Awareness, as you can guess, it's about raving and awareness in a rave scene, in a club scene in Berlin, but not only. We also work with organizations and clubs, festivals, collectives from other European and non-European countries. We also worked in Latvia with Palestinian community, so there is a lot of exchange of thought. What we do is we offer trainings and education for nightlife and club life and music industry. We work with clubs, festivals, party collectives, professionals from the industry, and we aim to long-term sensibilization of the industry in the field of discrimination and anti-discrimination. Our work is focused on anti-sexism, but we still have an intersectional lens, including different forms of discrimination and boundaries crossing. So our work before was very related to the physical space. And what's important to point here is that the music scene and club scene is also a giant political power. Also in the context of Berlin, oftentimes clubs contribute to big demonstrations, co-organize them, care for minorities in the spaces of celebration. And as we all know, in the heart of social justice movements, all of them lies arts and culture as the space for transformation, for exercising imagination, and just practicing and trying to practice living in another world, even if it's this small space of the festival or club. So the first response to the pandemic, the first questions were, how can we sustain and take care of our clubs and artists to perform? How can we rave if we cannot go out? And how we can do the work we are doing? And how, in total, we can make culture online. I believe that this situation is a lot about adaptability and finding ways to adapt to this challenging situation. And it forces us to transform in many, many ways. So the first response of Club Commission, the organization that we work closely with, the political voice of clubs in the city. So the first response was to create the biggest club in the world called United We Stream. That is an online club. So United We Stream was a virtual space where artists and clubs merged their forces and created gigs together and invited people to donate to support the club scene in the city. At the same time, there was launched the program called United We Talk. That was a space for thought exchange. That was the answer to, okay, this is where we are, and it means that we need social transformation, how we can do that together. So it was inviting professionals from the scene to come together and discuss these topics. What I also find interesting to share when it comes to what we are doing now and what's the response actually from the people is in this online, offline space is also that a lot of festivals needed to be cancelled, but many of them also created online versions of them, in a sense that there are artists, DJs, and dancers on the spot, and it's all being live streamed. And we would think that the fact that there is less people and it's so tiny means that there is less discrimination happening, but apparently this is not the case, as it's on all layers, starting with who is actually being invited, are the people who need support presented, are minorities invited or not, but also incidents of interpersonal discriminations or harassments being present on a spot. So even though there is less people and less substances, doesn't mean that there is much less work or space to react before. The other thing that happens is also online festivals, so like really online festivals that invite people to create different awareness structures and awareness teams. Awareness teams are teams of people that are kind of a security, but in a level of interpersonal discrimination. So in a virtual space, it's also very interesting to create like a safer spaces room that is literally a virtual room. In our work, what happened? Of course, we did not have any workshops or like real life trainings happening, but we got invited to online conferences. We created a podcast. We created a lot of online learning tools that will be downloadable. And we also see a big chance to like restart clubbing with much more care and inclusivity. So to say, use this space of silence as a space for reflection, and once restarting, already take into consideration new norms that we can try to practice. As the last thing that I want to say is how the pandemic and the necessity of online also forced us to the offline that is very different. I also co-organized a festival in Riga that happened this year. It was much smaller and much more local. And at the same time, the beauty of finding local artists instead of inviting great stars from around the world, like investing in the community around, was a beautiful and very powerful step for finding ways how to make culture that is local and community-based also.
Thank you, Agnieszka and Oma. We'll stay with you a bit more. I want to ask the audience if someone has a question for Dan or for Wojciech. No? So if you don't have a question, so please help me stand up so we make a bit of physical stuff to make this workout different. Yes. So first, let's like stretch a bit, you know, with this. You can also take the mouth out, the legs, whatever you need. And then go down, please. And then come up and close your eyes now for a second. Because I need to read something to you shortly, but keep your eyes closed. will this new digital world, this new digital festival, be able to address and advance against systematic discrimination, economic inequality, violence, misuse of labor and biodiversity? Can digital help us to have greater diversity, to democratize access, to connect with young cineastas around the world, and not only with the percentage that can be in Europe? Will it help us digital to take concrete steps this year to address look to one person near you and fix the eyes in one person, make some pairs, choose your person. Good, thank you.
Omar, do you want to be my person?
And now please change the seats with the person you look at too. Calmly, we are in the... Relax, everyone. Okay, now we can continue the discussion. Thank you.
I don't know what about these changings, but I hope the energy a little bit refresh and exchange, and we can, more smoothly come to the second part of our meeting. This be, I hope, easier because, our guests are with us. With us as well is Daria, one of the best, volunteers and our collaborators, and she helped us with Mike, so it's been like kind of the performance, Daria helped me to do that. And we have two parts of this thing. First one is connected to the film industry. We're on the film festival, Shortwave Festival. And we want to ask our guest, what's the future of independent cinema? What do you think will be the new normal? And I want to start from Wilhelm. So Wilhelm, please put the wine down, and Daria, please go to the Wilhelm. Yes, Clemens Wilhelm, sorry, always Clemens Wilhelm, yes. Our special guest tomorrow, we have international premiere of his film Die Linie, Line, and in the Kino Musa at 8 p.m. Yes, so...
I think I have to stand somewhere else. There's
please.
something behind me there.
Please.
Maybe over here. Yeah, is that better?
Okay.
No feedback.
So, Clemens, please answer the question.
What is about the future?
Yeah, about
of
future
everything?
of independent cinema, of your life, man, you know?
Well, I can't enlighten you on the future because I'm not from the future. And I think there are very few things you can do that make you look more foolish than if you try to predict the future. Because we tend to project our problems of right now onto the future, and we get predictions of the future quite wrong because of that. So I think the future will be very different from what we know. I have been thinking a lot this year about what is going to happen. I always return to the place of not knowing anything, which is actually a very productive place for creative work, to be reduced to not knowing and actually also not doing things. I've actually spent many weeks trying not to do something, and I was for a few weeks reduced to sitting on my balcony and watching birds which was actually very, very therapeutic, and I can only recommend it. Sparrows are very good teachers because, you know, sparrows are a different and much older form of intelligence than human beings. I didn't learn so much from watching the sparrows in the end, but I can tell you it helps to relax, and I think that's maybe the most important thing we need to do right now is to relax, because we're in a moment of crisis. And in a crisis, the worst thing you can do is to actually start getting very active. You know, you only make it worse, usually by steering in the moment of crisis. You know, you're only going to amplify your problems. So I would like to advertise for doing nothing and actually reflecting, and then the future will come anyway. I mean, you were saying, like, what is the future of independent cinema, right? That was like where that question was coming from, and I really don't know. And what we've seen during the pandemic, what we've seen is that a lot of filmmakers and artists, all their content online for free, you know, and because they thought, finally, this is the moment when people have nothing to do and sit at home and they're finally going to watch my film, right? So that, but speaking from my own experience, the opposite happened. Like, I didn't watch a single thing. I was so overwhelmed by all of this and the constant pouring in of news that I was way too nervous to actually sit down and watch my colleagues' films, you know. So I don't know if the if the future is for cinema is online or offline, because I think offline doesn't exist anymore. I mean, look around you. Most of us are online in this very moment while we're trying to have an online meeting. I think maybe the offline is gone, you know.
Okay. So thank you, Clemens. And now we going to our second guest, Kaja Klimek, as well, you know, connected to the Shortwave Festival for many, many years. Kaja, you know, is like a pop cultural journalist doing many things connected to internet, to television. And Kaja, what do you think? I know this is like simple but very difficult question, but please try to tell us something.
Thank you for having me, and hello everybody here online and offline. I hope that there are people watching us. I can only talk about myself. Like you were saying, like we don't know anything, but I know kind of where I stand right now, right? And also with my work, because if it comes to lockdown and quarantine in Poland, that was really good time for being a film critic and pop cultural critic, especially for me, as I love internet. So going online was as breathing, basically, with my work. So I took upon myself like the mission of kind of, I wouldn't say curating, but sifting through all this online content for people that are following me on social media. So I was preparing something that I called #zdrowy content, which in English would be #healthy content, like healthy and content, but also like a content. So I was selecting things that I felt are right for the moment, and every day for 80 days I was posting them online. I'm like, one TV series, one film, and one thing from streaming. And people were like checking this out and following it. So it felt like as a film critic, I made myself useful, and as a pop cultural critic, and it felt right thing to do. And I think that that's the direction that definitely I want to go with my work, but as I feel other film critics and fellow film buffs are going also, I mean like being more selective from the things that we already have, focusing not only on the new things, but kind of rediscovering the past to make the future more interesting also for the viewers. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, as on Shortwaves, I work as a Q&A host. I also did that a lot online during the quarantine. And it was really one and only experience, because I had the chance to go to Athos Mountain. I went to Korea, and Newfoundland, and probably I wouldn't ever go to those places, especially Athos Mountain, to the monastery, because I wouldn't be allowed to enter the place. And I had the chance to talk to people there who were in films or made films. So I think that the access that this situation is giving us to the filmmakers and also to the audiences is something that would never happen without that. So I'm also a fan of science fiction, as every film critic probably who loves genre cinema. So for me, I'm not really focusing anymore on cyberpunk, as in Wojtek's work there was like this dark future upon us. I think about solarpunk, which is like, you know, more sunny, more back to the roots, more like Wakanda forever from Black Panther kind of visions of the future. But that's depending on us, right? On the stories that we tell ourselves and also what we imagine for as a future for all of us now. So I don't know if it was a lot about independent cinema, but to add on top of that, I've seen already a few films that were made during lockdown, and some of them were really good. Some of them were by accomplished filmmakers. You can watch it as the kind of anthologies on Netflix or on HBO, but also one of the filmmakers that is here, Hubert Patynowski, his film is in the short Polish competition, made 2 films already in the lockdown. So there's kind of, future is out there, you just can take it and do something with it for you. So I guess that's gonna be it. See you at Shortwaves, offline and online. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaya. It was like, yeah, good energy. I think, you know, we like it. And now we're going to Michał Matuszewski. As well, he's a guest of Shortwaves Festival. He's in jury of Polish experimental films. And he's represent, I need to take, because the institution changed the name.
Myself. Hi, I'm Michael. I work in the Center for Contemporary Art in Warsaw, and I run a film curator, and I run a cinema there. So to answer the question, like my answer is obviously I don't know what will be the future and what will be the new normal. I think it's kind of problematic term anyways. But I wanted to say that of course we need to know what we do, and we need to figure out how to act in this changed circumstances, of course. I remember that in March, by we I mean like some, you know, people from the left, like leftists, have hopes that maybe COVID will infect somehow global capitalism and change it, and there will be some hope in that. But I think that we could say that it was kind of naive, and nothing like that happened. It's the opposite. Like capitalism is dealing pretty well with the pandemic, and it's getting stronger and stronger. And I think this is the issue also with the film industry, independent and big. I think that this is all connected, and like we as an independent or art house, experimental cinema, movie theater, or like the independent distribution, we all depend on the whole industry, and this is like the matter of a decision of a few majors to put big film online on VOD to destroy the whole industry, like the new Nolan film or Nolan and Mulan. Like the one decision to put them online will destroy the whole market. They released two of them to the cinema, so we are safe for now. But I think that it showed how our industry is conservative and based on the things that we are used to, and the things are going the way that they were in the past. And yeah, so and I think that we really don't have a good proper answers to the question what we are as a cinemas, movie theaters, and film festivals, what we should be, instead of those kind of naive questions that people will always go to the cinemas because it's, I don't know, more fun, because they want to be with other people, or it's kind of magic. So I think that we have like this magical arguments versus global capitalism, and I'm not optimistic on like who will win this fight. Yeah, so that's it from me.
Thank you, Piotr. And now we are at the third part a bit. We're going to the real fighters at the moment, I would say. I would like to ask a question: what could be the future, and what do you want see happening in the world, in culture, from your perspective? And saying about the fighters, we're going to people involved with human rights. And first is Piotr Moszczeński, activist and a social animator from Poznań. What is your perspective? Yep, good.
Thank you. We need to divide the microphones, and because of the security pandemics and so on. I think it's very important for us to look into the past in order to imagine how the future would look like. And I'm sure of one thing: I believe that the future will be most of all surprising, because I think that if we would be able to imagine the future, we would be already living in it. And we're not. We're living in the present. So this is kind of, logical problem. But for me as social activist, I look into the past and I see two ways in which the crisis like pandemics develops. And I think we're facing now another bigger, much bigger crisis, which is climate crisis right now, climate catastrophe, as we would say. So there are always two ways. So one way is the way we know from Poland quite well also. So it's a pogroms way. So we got populists, we got people who hate other people and who would like to blame other people for all the troubles that are in the world. So the people who are offering very simplistic ways to reason with other people, who are searching always for scapegoats. And this is kind of thing that we are seeing right now in Poland in terms of homophobia and all the violence that is spreading throughout the country. Even in Poznań, we got a wave of violence against people for many different reasons, but most of them it's homophobia. But there is also other much more optimistic way of development, of going through crisis like this. And this way is getting together, stick together, building cooperatives, and trying to figure out all together how we get through this. But this would be probably something that is our last resort. So it must have been a big crisis that will launch in us this survival mode. Because this is something that we have as an adaptation as humans. So we stick together, we try to survive facing all the threats all around. So this is the second way of going through. I don't think we are already in this survival mode, at least in, let's say, Europe. But I think we are facing this time of climate that will probably launch this mode. And I hope that we will stick together. And after this social crisis, after this climate crisis, I think we will be better society. But it would be probably a very, very tough time. So I think this is my vision.
Thank you, Piotr. It's eventually quite positive at the end. Worlds are viruses, said William Sparrows a long time ago. So I give the same question, what will be next, to Joanna Malinowska. Not a university professor, a fighter, a real fighter and philosopher from Poznań, Adam Mickiewicz University.
Oh, hello everyone. So I just wanted to say a few things. One of them is that when I'm thinking about what I would like to see happen, is that I would really love people to understand that we are social animals and that we really need each other. And after all of that online experience, I would love everyone to understand that we need each other in offline. We need each other bodies, we need each other experience. Without others, people live shorter. There is a lot of research about it. Elder people who usually are alone, they have a lot of healthy issues. During the pandemics, people who are alone, they suffered of depression, and our offline experience is very, very important. We need to respect each other. We need to respect each other's bodies because they actually heal us. We produce oxytocin when we touch each other's skin. It's so important, and usually we don't think about it. So I would love people to understand that. And I was asked to say something optimistic. And when I was talking with other people here, it reminded me of the very old talk of two philosophers. One of them is also ethologist, evolutionary biologist, Konrad Lorenz. He was talking with Karl Popper, very, very famous philosopher. And they were quoting Fukuyama's very, very famous words that already everything happened. And they answered to that actually from the evolutionary point of view, nothing really happened. Everything is happening. Everything will happen in the future. And I think this is the most optimistic thing that we can think of when we are thinking about future, that life will find its way in its all beautiful diversity, with our bodies in it or without it, with our offline and online presence. It doesn't really need us. We can be happy that we are here right now and we can experience it for a short part of time. But still, it will happen, and it will be beautiful, and it will be so diverse that we cannot even think of how it would look like. But still, I think it's like one of the most touching and beautiful things in the world, that evolution is happening and that life is happening. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Okay, we have one guest from Hotel Europa who will be with Clemens tomorrow have a projection of his film in Kino Muza, Adnan Softic, and I think I would ask him to answer all these questions because I think he can answer for both. So and he do little freestyle, but I think it can be nice, to give this voice to our guest, because we have one more guest, Agata Rogo. She has some problems, with her leg, and she can't come here. But I hope, and she, promised me tell something, about optimistic, practice on Balkans. You are from Balkans, so maybe as well you find a little utopian, voice or thing from there. I love this, region. So please.
Well, it's very difficult to speak from the perspective of the future because, as you said, we are not from there. I'm just from Balkans, but in some sense, Balkans is the future because in the 19th we had such a. I'm sorry, I have feedback. Okay, maybe here's the better place. I don't know how to explain, because I don't really think that we are dealing with something which will change the world, because I would love to, in some sense, but in some other sense, I'm afraid of the change, because we have two perspectives which were also, they were before the crisis as well. We have two structures. One structure is totalitarian, which would love to control everything which is in the society. And this system is using virus as some kind of some metaphor. And this metaphor is well, a proof that the world has to be controlled completely. And there is also another perspective, which maybe I'm part of this perspective, and I guess most of the people here. But it's also problematic because even us, we are using this virus as metaphor as well. And I'm not sure that if it is good to use the virus for that purposes. Because we think, universe, we have this universal perspective, and we think so everything is connected, so even a human, one person is not just one separated entity. Even in myself, there are millions of other living beings which are connected with something outside, and so on and so on. So there is no borders. Maybe there are some membranes or something like that, but and I think we are misusing this metaphor. In fact, we have no idea what is going on. I have no idea about virus. And I was trying to think about that, and at the end I realized something that maybe nobody has an idea what is going on. And this is something what I really like, and this is something what you also were telling about this moment of not knowing. Just maybe it's time to admit that we have no idea. And this is maybe the biggest chance for me, and also for the cinema as well, and for my artistic approach, to embrace this moment of not knowing, and to deal with my knowledge and not knowledge, and to make some kind of dance out of it. So this is maybe... Balkans, there is... I wouldn't say there is something new. At the beginning, people there were very clever, and they didn't trust in the system, so they isolate themselves very perfectly, so they had no corona cases, in fact, and by time they started to doubt. So now we have kind of problems there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So now it's like time for, it's not a lot of time because we need to finish at 6:30. But if you have any question to our guest. Or like you have maybe comments to your things, like maybe Wojtek, you want to say something like to answer to Kaya, about cyberpunk, or, because it's, or maybe Agnieszka. Okay, yes, good. We need to do it, Agnieszka, tell us something, please. Comment or question? No, okay, sorry. Okay, thank you. Good. So guys, so slowly going to the end. Big thanks, thank you to be with us. I want to really thank you all people who help us to create Hotel Europa in these specific, conditions, because on the beginning our idea was to build special space when we can discuss watching films, performance, exchange our thoughts, talks, and I don't know if we can do it in October like we how we plan now, but we'll see. I'm happy like we do this now, and as well maybe some of you ask question, what is this kind of specific installation? It's part, it's like setup of Joanna Vreme-Moser, and she in the space at 9:30 have sound performance, like kind of concert. So if you have time and you want to join us in the evening, please come here. And Chris and Igor, can you come to me? Because I think like it's as well maybe like for us like a chance to say like last word, so we can like comment what happens today. And yeah, Igor?
No, thank you all for coming and for staying with us so long. As you see, it's a big thing to make this work. So yeah, and it's a challenge that's just starting, no? To be present, we wanted also to have the people online talking to you. So maybe in October. But yes, we would love to hear from you too. And let's remember that this is something new, and we are trying something new together.
I'm gonna have this one. Thank you guys for being with us. First of all, I would like to say from my perspective, as also one of the people who were involved in this, that it was fantastic to serve the bar tonight, because I believe that what happened during the pandemic and lockdown can be very much well served in the visual culture world for switching the already existing mechanisms and roles and social roles that we played. So for myself, that was the fantastic opportunity to serve the bar tonight. And I would also like to tell you that on Sunday at noon, to be precise, at the river, myself, Igor and Szymon would like to invite you to a special sort of performative walks along the river that have a lot of cinematic reflections and references. And we meet at noon at Barbarka, which is a special place for people of Poznań. You know what it is. For those who don't know, it's Barbarka, something easy to remember. And we meet there at noon this Sunday. So we'd like to really invite you to join us.
Yes, and please, if you want to join us, please go to our website. Then you can find, some kind of anchor, and we, want to ask you some questions, because we walking, biking, and canoeing. So we need to know if you have fear of water, for example, or not. So please, answer with few simple questions. Yes, and tomorrow in Kino Muza, Adnan, and after Clemens. So I hope we see you there too. It'll be like more quiet. As well, if you have time now, you can stay with us, because we'll be like after 15 minutes break, like our guests stay here and we can talk, if I think in like smaller scale, but I think still it can be something interesting. And please, big applause for Misha. She's still doing her performance. Misha. Thank you. And sorry for all problems. Thank you, our online audience. I hope you survived this performance, experimental Hotel Europa edition. Thank you, Igor. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, all our people. Thank you, thank you, thank you.